Howdy folks, Digital Hunting Gear Guy. This is the, what is this again? Charles Daly 101. It's a folding action shotgun. I'm going to disassemble it for you guys completely. We can see that it's empty there. I had some requests to do this online, so I figured I would do it in video. So the first thing, you only really need to do this if you need to do it, but I can remove the barrel from the action here using that flathead screw. I'm just going to go ahead and hit that screw right there. Some of these can be really tight, and the pin that goes across through here can be tight on them sometimes as well. Here, let me get some more light on the situation. Oh yeah, that looks terrible, but I'm sure it's very nice and accurate on the camera. So there's the screw that goes on the side. I should have used it to poke this cross pin out. There it goes. There's the cross pin. And that's all that's holding these two things together. So let's put the receiver to the side here. There's a couple things I want you to notice here. One, there's our extractor right there. It's a pretty tight fit in there, but that's what extracts the shell once we rotate it forward. To take the stock down, you're actually going to need to work with that first. So a punch through that hole there, and then you can just rotate it around like it's a screw, which it kind of is. So I'm just loosening it there. There, I think I can do it by hand. Yeah. There's the sling swivel, and there goes the stock. There's no moving parts in the stock, so I can move that off to the side. There is this part right here that can move. So I'm just going to carefully take that out. If you need to put that back in, it's got the hooks facing up if you've got the barrel like that. So that's how that thing faces, and you can see that it actually actuates that back part there, that extractor. There are no other moving parts on the barrel other than the removable choke, but I'm going to put that to the side. Now back here, if you want to start taking parts out of here, you're actually going to need to get into the back of the action here, which means you have to take off this butt plate and then get down in there. So that's going to be with 2 Phillips screws. Most stocks use this configuration, 2 Phillips screws. Typically, if you've got like a stock with more of a rubbery butt pad, there's still going to be holes there. And the whole idea is you stick like a Phillips through there, and you just kind of ram it into the rubber, and you get in. But because this is just hard plastic, it's you can just see them. They're just there. So there's screw number 1. A little bit of rust on that screw. This shotgun has been out hunting. This is one of my kids' shotguns. I like using it for grouse and that kind of thing. It's super lightweight. And this one's in 20 gauge, which is also nice and light on, well, lighter on recoil. Realistically, with 20 gauges, usually you just get a lighter shotgun. You don't get much lighter recoil. And we open it up. Okay, so there is our butt pad, and there's our stock, and it's open. You can see a nut way down in there. So we're going to need to get access to that. And if memory serves me correct, was that a 14 or a 13? It's not. Oh, that's not going to work. Why not 30? You should only really need to use that for the first little bit, and then you can just hand do it for the rest. I think I got it off. Nope, not quite yet. It's a long screw. Now? Yeah, now, okay. So there's my stock. There's the long bolt that goes in there. I would just leave it in the stock just so you don't have to try to get it through that hole again. There are no other moving parts. Well, I guess you could remove that. I'm not going to do that. That's silly. Let's just put that to the side, and let's look at this guy right here. So this is how it looks right now. We can see I don't feel any springiness on this guy right now. And we've got a couple of cross pins here that we can get access to, as well as a couple down here. Those are likely going to be for our safety. And it's kind of oily because, well, rust prevention, right? Probably sprayed a bunch of Ballistol on here. I'm going to take out this trigger, so to do that, I'm going to pull out these 2 pins right here. Let's do something you're not supposed to do and use an Allen key. Okay, sorry, I had to take the drift pins out down there. So there's the ones for the trigger, and the trigger comes out just like that. You'll notice that cup there, that is going to hold this spring that the action kind of works against. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that spring out and put that aside. And then that big pin here, all it's doing is just holding this lever here. And deep down inside there, the firing pin looks like it's being held by this pin. So I'm going to drift that one out just a little bit more and pull that firing pin out. All right, there's our firing pin. Now that cross pin fits right in there, and this little spring sits in front. So that's actually holding this firing pin away from the breech face until the hammer strikes the back there. So that's just sitting inside here. And there's our firing pin. There's not really much else going on in here. There's just this takedown lever here sitting on this pin, this big one here. I don't think I'm going to pull that out because that's it for moving parts here. Let's take a closer look at this hammer and trigger assembly. So we can see there's the spring that's holding that thing back. If our safety is off, you can pull the trigger and the hammer will go forward with the safety on, or actually you just pull it back there and that lets us fire. It doesn't move a lot, does it? It must hold it back once it's in there. I don't really see any other action that's happening here, so that might be all there is to it. It's just a little hit like that. Now to reassemble this thing, you're going to want to have these pins at least started. Keep in mind this metal's thick here and there's nothing in there. So you can have them pretty much flush on the inside of this thing. So this one I can hit a little bit more. You want to make sure that those are going straight in. Okay, that's about as far as I can go. And I don't know for that firing pin how much I'm going to need to put that one in. So I'm going to have to put that down. So if it's oriented like this groove needs to be facing up so that this pin can kind of hold it in there. So it's gonna, well, if it would, I guess it would be like that. It's gonna hold it in like that, and that's gonna be how that thing's sitting in there. Oh, you can put it in through the back. Okay, I've just got it precariously seated in there. I'm gonna use my large drift. I'm gonna push from the back. Make sure that the alignment is just perfect. So I need that groove facing up. Hold it firmly and then whack that pin in. And you can see that firing pin sticking out, and if I let go, hey, there we go. Okay, there's our firing pin right there. And I can feel that spring action in there. You can just kind of see it on the bottom there. And if I pull this guy through, there's my firing pin back in. Let's go ahead and put that trigger group back. There's my spring that's going to fit on that hole there on the lever. And then that's going to go into the front of here. Well, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm just aligning these holes here so I can start whacking on these pins. Okay, I think I've got it in there. Now to test this, I'm just going to pull that trigger. And you saw it fire there and the firing pin go out. Now to reset the hammer, I'm just going to press this down until I hear a click. Yeah, seems to be working. This is also why this needs to be back in order for it to fire, because if you fire it from back here, that will hold it from pushing the firing pin out. So I think this is all working. All my pins are flush. My pins are a little bit worse for wear now after getting beaten on, but they're all still there. When I put this back on now, there's actually two spots this screw can go, the top, and there's actually a hole in the bottom there. Don't put it in the bottom one. That's not going to do you any good. The bottom one is just room for this to sit in. So I think that's what it's for. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on and then look down in the belly of the beast with this thing here and just tighten it by hand. You're just looking for that metal on metal. Make sure you're not cross-threading it. And let's give that just a quick tighten here. We don't need it He-Man tight. I know it's a socket, but a lot of these on the older ones, they use like a flathead screw. You don't need to go that tight. I guess I could put on the butt pad. Just gonna make sure that that's looking about where it should be. Pop those screws in there, again Phillips from the top. I really should be wearing a solid color so that this isn't so hard for the camera to pick up what to focus on, hey? Tough luck. This is what I was wearing for work. This is what you get for the video. Okay, that one feels like it's in. Same idea here. You don't want to He-Man these things. This is just plastic we're screwing into, and plastic we're on the butt pad as well. So we don't want to wreck them. We just want it snug. Once you feel it to start tightening up there, that's enough. I've been careful not to let this guy go. I'm keeping it on there. There's my forend, and it's just going to scooch on there. I'm looking to make sure I can see thread through there. And then I can take my sling swivel stud, put it on there and make sure it's aligned. And then I can use my drift pin to tighten that up. Oh, that feels plenty tight to me, and I kind of want it straight sideways so that when I put a sling swivel on here, it's going the right way. So there's those hooks that I was mentioning before, and there's this guy here. Now I put this back into the stock. I want these hooks to fit into these grooves here. So make sure that they're out and not all the way recessed. I want them out a little bit so I can easily get them in there and fit them inside those grooves. And when I have that, I'm going to take my cross pin, wiggle it into place. Oh, you know what? I should throw a little bit of grease on there while I've got the chance. I got a bunch of this frog glued for cheap, but obviously you don't need to use that. You could use any old grease, really. And I'm greasing this because I'm not going to get in here anytime soon, so I want something that's last a little bit longer than oil. Okay, so I've got that in there. Next I'm going to be putting this cross pin in here. Now I don't have the perfect flathead for this because, well, who does? Look at that weird flathead that we've got on here. But I'm going to get it close enough. And this flathead will have to do. And you can strip, you actually don't want to put a lot of pressure on this one because it will affect how easily, if this like swings too easily, then what you want to do is just tighten it up just a touch. Oh, that's too much. Let's go back just a touch there. There we go. Okay, a couple of notes. Yeah, it's going to rattle that lever or that hook that's in there. That'll rattle a little bit. I can open it up and I see that that is extracting just fine. And I can actually try firing it with it open there. And you can see that firing pin sticking out. So I know that that part is working as well. I'll try my safety. It's working. This firearm is back to operational.